Hey guys, how you going? Ryan here, back with another video for Thailand retro mods on Princess Fiona, the SR20 TA22 Celica. And today's video, we're going to be taking you through the pits, which is a registration process for Thailand. So when you get your car, the tax done, that's when they do the roadworthy as well, which is where they take your car through and inspect it. And today, obviously, we're taking through a heavily modified Celica. Now, I just wanted to touch on that quickly. What is heavily modified? Well, you know, everyone, I'm sure, in the comment section below is going to have their opinion on what heavily modified is. There's no, Webster dictionary definition. Now, in this regard, I'm comparing it to Australia. Now, if you were to take a car through the pits in Australia, like this Celica, which has modified and changed engine, it's got a Nissan SR20 in it, bigger brakes, roll cage, different gearbox, intercoolers, pod filters, exhaust systems, you would get one of these pineapples they're growing in the background there, going sideways somewhere up your exhaust pipe. So today is a good comparison to what it's like in Thailand, and I must just say now, I love Thailand and the way they just kind of let things go. Cool guys, so let's get stuck into it and let's take this thing through the pits. Yesterday we went to do the inspection, and unfortunately the car is so low that the sway bar was fouling on their pit. So we had to actually go to local mechanics who's going to pull the sway bar off while she's up on the hoist. I'm going to have a quick look for whatever else is low that I can bash up with a bit of a hammer, a little bit of gentle persuasion, just so we have a little bit more ground clearance so we get the tax and ID done. Cool, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back at Motor Reg. Take two of getting the car through the pits. So this involves a couple processes, so I'll walk you through. First one is, of course, headlights and indicators. So checking the headlights and indicators work. If you can see that little machine next to the pit, that actually checks the strength of the headlights, they check the horn, they do all that sort of stuff, and then hopefully you get a thumb up and you can get your car registered. So now they're going through the pit, and if you see here, they've got the little headlight checkers there, and the first comment that the car guy was Dom Toretto, fast 7, Dom Toretto. So the guys seem to at least like the car, even if they're not going to give me a pass. So the next one is the brake test. So they've got some rolling bitumen rollers here, and they'll actually run it along and then slam on the brakes, and they'll test to make sure the brakes work, which is probably pretty important. We actually had a headlight problem, so they couldn't get the headlights to work, and turns out that little old fuse here, which this camera's never going to focus on, but the fuse is actually blown, so switch the fuses out and they were still happy to run it through. So this is them performing the brake test, which this thing's only 950 odd kilos a car with S14 Sylvia brakes, so should be good. Bit of a tyre squeal. Give it some, Sanjay. Give it the beans. Obviously this is testing the rolling resistance in the brakes. And we're through. Hey guys, back now with another update on Princess Fiona, the TA22 Celica. So we have just finished getting the tax and roadworthy done here in Thailand. So if you're curious about how that process went, especially compared to say, America or Australia, I'll give you a little bit of background about that. So there's special stations you can go to. Now you can either go to an independent mechanic and have somebody come out and do the check there. That's number one. Number two, you can go to one of the official places which are usually located near the land and registries or the automotive place where you get your cars registered and the actual blue book done. Or number three, you can go to the actual venue where they do the blue book or the registrations. Now if you go to the venue where they're doing it, then you run into the problems of lining up behind every truck in Thailand. You might be there for 2 or 3 hours. The guy who normally comes over and does ours, the independent guy, he wasn't available. So we went the middle route and went in there and got it done at the little checkpoint across the road from where we get the registrations done. The dudes there were super friendly. Really funny. The first one was, oh, Dom Toledo, fast 7, and you know, he really loved the Celica and was digging it, having a good old laugh. The headlights worked perfectly. Always have. It's got brand new wiring in the car, and for some reason the headlights weren't working when we checked it. So I ducked under the dashboard and realized that one of the fuses had blown, and they were even happy enough to give me a stamp for the car and change the fuses out. So I changed out the headlight fuse for the horn, showed them that the horn worked and the headlights worked, and they still gave me a pass. So compared to places like Australia, which would just never fly, these dudes are pretty cruisy. So if you can see here, what we were looking for is this bad boy, year 2564, which is the Buddhist year. So that's actually 2020. So in case you're wondering why it's year 2564, no, we are not in the future. They actually use the Buddhist calendar here in Thailand, and that's why. And that was the whole process. So going through, we got the car back to its current height, which is still pretty low boy, but we'd probably raise it up a good 1.5 inches, which, you know, to be honest with you, the way the strut throw was working in the back on the freeway, the oscillation of the spring rate just wasn't right, so the car was getting a little bit sort of bouncy as you going along about 120. So wanted to fix that up at the same time as raising it just a smidgen, and here we are. Tax done, car's back on the road. Perfect.